The projections for the college football playoff have been released by ESPN, and they have Ohio State football in a familiar spot, but there's another storyline around the Big Ten that everyone's talking about, and we have to break it down as well. What's up, guys? I'm Matt Long. Welcome to Columbus Football 365. If you're an Ohio State Buckeye fan, hit that subscribe button, but let's get right into the news for today. ESPN has projected Ohio State to get the number one spot in the college football playoff, writing why they could be here. The Buckeyes now have two impressive road wins, adding Saturday's 34-16 victory at Illinois to that September 27th win at Washington. The Buckeyes have defeated three straight Big Ten opponents who are all 500 or better. ESPN also wrote Ohio's defense has been one of the best in the country, and quarterback Julian Sayin has been one of the nation's most efficient, mistake-free quarterbacks. The Buckeyes are a complete team ranked in both the top 10 offensive and defensive efficiency, and historically, that is a trait that is at the top of the selection committee's past playoff team picks. So, how college football works? When you are looking at the top guys, it's done by a playoff committee. They select and rank the teams. And historically, if you are in the top 10 for offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency, usually that means A, you're a really good football team, and B, that they're going to rank you extremely, extremely highly. But one thing that I just got, it caught my eye, gotta talk about what is going on with these rankings. The AP poll, the problem I have with this poll is if you look at the rankings, both the Associated Press, AP stands for Associated Press. It's not actual football people. It is just, press and other media outlets versus the coaches poll, which is a group of actual coaches in college football. Everyone voted the same way: Ohio State, Miami, Indiana, or at least when they averaged it out, both polls have the top three looking the exact same way, with Ohio State at 1, Miami at 2, and Indiana at 3. The thing that I cannot understand is how, if you look at the parentheses next to each team, you can see how many first place votes that team received. Ohio State received only 50 of the possible 66 first place votes from the Associated Press, and I don't understand how there could be actual credential people in the press. There are 16 people that don't put Ohio State at 1. That doesn't make any sense to me. If you look at the coaches, there were only 3 coaches that didn't put Ohio State 1. Now, I'm not saying I know better than every single coach and that Ohio State has to be number 1 on every single person's rankings. I think it's completely legitimate that there are 3 people that, 2 people think Miami's better than Ohio State and 1 person who thinks Indiana's better. I get it. But 16 for the Associated Press out of the media vote, that makes absolutely zero sense and adds more to this conversation that's kind of been going around this season of how some of these media voters actually, first of all, they do it for fun and have absolutely no idea what is going on when it comes to voting. We saw someone a couple weeks ago, her ballot was exposed and it had things that didn't make any sense on it. I don't remember any of the actual egregious positions off the top of my head right now, but just keep in mind the Associated Press, it's done by media, so it can be a little bit all over the place. So I am certainly up in arms that 16 people don't have Ohio State number 1, but if they're going to be late to the party, that is absolutely their loss. We can look at the next upcoming games for the Ohio State Buckeyes after getting past Illinois, who, I guess I can't say everybody, but a lot of people understood that was going to be a tough challenge, especially on the road. The schedule opens up. We were expecting on November 1st to be facing a very, very tough Penn State team, but that right now doesn't seem to be as tough. Just starting off with the next game, Wisconsin absolutely blasted by Alabama in week 2. Wisconsin last weekend absolutely annihilated. Wisconsin's really, really bad. Purdue, they look better than they did last season, but Purdue is not a team that's, just to put it nicely, they're not competing for the Big Ten this season, and you don't expect them to be highly competitive over the next couple seasons. But the big team that we got to talk about is Penn State. Next week we have Wisconsin. That's going to be a bye week. Then it's Penn State on November 1st. But Penn State, if you haven't heard it, today they let go of James Franklin in the middle of the season, agreeing to pay a $56 million buyout for James Franklin. Just for fun, I looked at the numbers. Over the next 6 years, James Franklin will be receiving $20,000 every single day, not to coach the Penn State Nittany Lions. That's crazy. First of all, talking about it from the Ohio State aspect of this, that is a heavy hitter out of the Big Ten that is just completely out of the way. going into the season, we are thinking it's going to be Ohio State, it's going to be Penn State, it's going to be Oregon, and then Indiana, they're going to be an upstart team. We're going to have to find out if they're going to be for real or not. And certainly beating Oregon by double digits at Autzen Stadium, they are certainly looking like a legitimate team and someone that the Ohio State Buckeyes have to worry about, but they're not on our schedule, so we wouldn't have to worry about them until the Big Ten championship game. But Penn State being just taken out, you have to imagine, with no James Franklin and an interim head coach stepping up into that leading role, you have to imagine no way that Penn State is going to be able to go on the road and take us out. You don't overlook them, you prepare for them, but it is obvious that this team lost its entire identity after that Oregon game. James Franklin, going into that Oregon game, he was 4-20 against top 10 teams. They lost that game and he was 4-21. And the media for years, the media hasn't really been saying it. I've been saying it for years. James Franklin is a great coach. He never gets upset, but he also never upsets people. And for that reason, Penn State was the most predictable and most projectable team in college football. And the problem with that Oregon loss is now the players believe it too. And that's why they completely quit on the team. And that's why they started off so slow against UCLA. If you watch that game, their offense comes on pretty strong at the end of the game, and they're almost able to salvage that against the previously winless UCLA Bruins. But now they lose to UCLA, they lose to Northwestern. So you have to imagine that they should have no chance against a powerhouse, a team that's actually well coached, a team that's going to have a very strong home field advantage. I don't know if anyone watching this video saw the pictures of the Northwestern versus Penn State crowd. Not a good turnout for Penn State during that game. But Ohio State, you can't overlook them, but it would also be disingenuous to not to say the obvious fact that there is now a huge hole opened up in the Big Ten, and this league just became a lot easier to win. Also, more stats coming from this ESPN article. Something we need to know, Ohio State has more than a 50% chance to win each one of its remaining games according to ESPN analytics. So favored in every single game. That's, of course, where you want to be. That Big Ten championship game looming large at the end of the season. Toughest remaining game, according to ESPN, November 29th at the team up north, where the Buckeyes will try to avoid a fifth straight loss to their rivals. So, obviously, we know the last couple of years, Ohio State has fallen short against the team up north. They got a championship. We have a championship. This year, just on paper, it looks like we should be beating them this year, no matter where the game is played. If it's played up north or it's played on our turf, you would expect Ohio State this year to finally get over that hump and finally be able to beat that team. But last year, you could say all the same things that I just said. So how much faith can I really have in it? I mean, definitely have a certain amount of faith, because this season, Julian Sayin, at that point, when November 29th comes around, he's improving each and every single week, and it's easy to see. He might be playing better football than Will Howard was playing last year. And Will Howard, of course, played tremendously well last season. You know, he wasn't the number one quarterback in college football, but he was very good. But Julian Sayin, a better recruit coming out of high school, and just the way that Julian Sayin has improved so drastically in each and every game, it really gives me a lot of hope for him going forwards. And I really think that it's clear and obvious that Penn State, or that Ohio State, has hit on a really, really special young man, and someone that we are very proud and very lucky to have in this program, even if it is a program that, you know, Ohio State, you would think we're going to have a top quarterback every single season, but it is still, you got to confirm that you actually have it. You never know where that is going to go. So we just got to make sure we're hunkering down, take games one game at a time. If we prepare properly for each and every single game on our schedule, it will not be a problem going undefeated until the Big Ten championship. But the games are not played on paper, they're played on the football field, and we do have to make sure that no games are overlooked, make sure that we are preparing properly, guys, you know, aren't fooling around, aren't getting into stuff off the field. If this team just continues to do what they're doing, it should be a very, very fun playoff, potentially culminating in another national championship for the Ohio State Buckeyes. But that's what I got for this video. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Let's go Buckeyes, man.